Eric, and this is...
I'm Danny.
He's a little sick today, so I'm going to be doing the majority of the talking. So, next slide. So, for our thing, we did Project Sanic. Alright. So,
Gotta go fast?
yeah, next slide. Alright, so for some of our design things, we wanted to do a spinning top, a sorting crane, and then this, which is the destroyer. We ended up calling it, I guess, like Sonic and Destroyer, which we get to later. And then for the next slide, we talk about the spinning top and the sorting crane and why we didn't do those. So this is the conversation thingy. It kind of looks like Gregory's, how they had it, like an actual conversation. But basically, I asked, can we do the spinning top thingy? And then Danny was like, there are instructions for that? And I was like, yep, yep. And then a little bit later, we realized that they had already finished building it. So we were like, oh, well, there goes that idea. And then Connor, like he said, he was doing, at the beginning of the year, he did a crane thingy. And we were like, that seems pretty cool. So we asked him like input since they knew how to do it. So we'd ask for some help on doing it. But then, like they said, their elephant didn't work. Their elephant stopped working, and then they ended up building a new crane, which is what you just saw before us. So then I was like, darn. And then, so then we decided to make something completely like custom, but it really isn't all that crazy since we both aren't that good at this stuff. But we ended up making this, and we called it Sanic. Slide. So the things in this, if you were to just update a bunch of the things, like the color sensor, if you were to upgrade that to a camera, once we show what it does, which is pretty easy, but once we show what it does, you can see that if we were to upgrade the camera, if we were to upgrade the sensor to a camera, it could detect, instead of the color red, it could detect like a bad guy or a bomb and then eliminate it, or it has a program to deal with those certain things. So it's just the concept that just needs to be taken up and upgraded. So this is what our code looked like. And then where our trials, I don't know if you can understand this, but these are all our tests we had, test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then during these, here, press the space bar. This part was for tests 1, 2, 3, and 6, this part of the code didn't work, and space. This part of the code didn't work for those 5, space bar. And that didn't work, which was, yeah, and then space bar. And that didn't work, so then space bar again. So basically, what this was is, should I run it now, so they can kind of understand? Which one do you think it is?
It's probably the final Sonic.
Should I just play it, or should I just say what it does? Alright.
Oh, it's because the wheel's not rotating all over it, though.
Alright, and that was sort of difficult to do. So basically right here, just let that keep running. So I'll explain what's happening. I guess you can watch that or me. So at the very beginning of the program, it's going to go forward. This isn't a big enough table. It goes forward a little bit, and then it starts sensing color. And then if it senses red, it's going to play a faster Project Sanic at like 100, 100, 100. We couldn't have a gear ratio because we had to like turn it and stuff. And since how many motors we use, using the gear ratio would just like throw everything off. So we just made it go as fast as possible. And that would basically just kill whatever was there. So if this was like red, it would just wreck it, I guess. And so if we were to make this a camera, it could detect a bad person and like shoot him or whatever. And then if it didn't detect red, and then it would go back. Yeah, loop. And then, so after it loops back, if it doesn't detect red, if it's anything else, it will basically, it'll go backwards. So let's say this was a good person or whatever. It would go backwards, turn a little bit, and then just continue this part. And while building it, we had to make the what do we have to make backwards? The medium motor. The medium motor had a bunch of problems with us. It took us the most to fix. All of these problems, the majority of our problems were with the medium motor. Actually, this one wasn't. This was with the old motor. The old motor was the one that they made their quadcopter out of, a bunch of old motors. But the medium motors sucked. But eventually we sort of fixed it, and I don't think it plays on this table. Did it work? It's not gonna work on this table. It's too small.
We do it on the ground.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, let's do them.
Where'd I go?
Scoot that table back. Please, everybody lift that table, lift it and scoot it off.
Ah, God. Gonna hit the front.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's gonna start off by going. If it detects something, if it detects red, it's gonna play Project Sanic and kill it. And if it doesn't, it's gonna back away and then just keep searching. And if it doesn't detect it, it'll back away, keep searching. This is just decoration. So then if it does detect red,
On the color sensor, it should go crazy.
so if it was red still there, it would just like knock it over or whatever. So then if it doesn't detect it, it'll just keep looping back and forth. Probably, yeah, and right now, one of the problems was when we were actually building it, since there's 6 wheels, it's difficult to turn it since we're only using 2 motors that are like, can independently move. So we made those 2 motors that independently move in the center. That way it would have somewhat of control over the robot, because if those 2 motors were in the front, it wouldn't turn the robot really. If it were in the back, it wouldn't turn it. So we put them in the middle, and then underneath the robot, I kind of made it to where they're a little bit higher than the other wheels, so that if it did need to turn, since these were independently moving, left could go and right could go, so it could turn. It took a little bit to get that, because I had to tweak little things in here to make this one the longest. I guess that's pretty much that. I think that's the end of the presentation too. Here, put spacebar. Yeah, so are there any questions?
What are the bad guys wearing a color other than red?
Yeah, I know. So what I'm saying is that if you were to upgrade this to like, let's say you got some more money, had some better equipment, you can make this sensor a camera and have some dude man it and be like, oh, or so let's say you were to like,
Could be like any traffic camera or like a radar gun, and
Sure.
you could chase after like speeding cars. Yeah.
Project Sanic, that's what it's there for, so it'll do whatever. Yeah, that was our project.
Project Sanic.